Well, we are so lucky here at the Shannons Speed Series that we have some of the most high-performance vehicles on the planet that come and play with us. Now, behind that, obviously comes pretty high-level technology. Bosch Motorsport, that's where we're lucky because they are our motorsport technology provider. James Cocker is alongside me. We're talking this week ABS. We understand it, it's in our road car. We get that it assists us with our braking. It's in these. What role does it play though here? It's a bit different, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Stubbsy. So the biggest difference between road car ABS and motorsport ABS is road car ABS is designed for safety first. It's designed to handle all sorts of tarmac, snow, gravel. You don't get that on a racetrack. This is asphalt racetrack first, and it's designed to handle big brakes, big tyres, big aero like these cars have. Another element that is not on the road car is adjustability. Drivers can go from 1 to 12 settings in this car, depending on the track, depending on their tyre condition, depending on their aero, depending on anything the track can throw at them.
Josh Buchan, let's talk high performance. ABS in the car, how do you use it? It's been described to me as the dark art of racing. Would you agree?
It can be. I mean, ABS, obviously, you might think it's a cheat code. You just slam the pedal and it does all the work for you. And to a point, initially, it's certainly like that. You know, when you first experience it, you go, oh my God, this is so easy. It does everything. I'm just a passenger. But in actual fact, like anything in motorsport and in high performance, the easier something looks, there's usually more to it. We have 12 settings, they're not there for show. I often do what we call an ABS sweep during a session or when first going out, and that's going from the lower end of the scale right to the higher end of the scale, and just seeing what the track conditions will accept with the ABS.
Well, Cam Campbell, we need to get your point of view. ABS for an AM driver, how important is it for you?
Incredibly important.
Yeah.
I think it allows me to be able to start at a level and quickly be able to get confidence within the system of ABS and go from relatively slow into corners and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, knowing that it's going to be there and all the purple lights are going to come on, and it's got an enormous amount of trust.
Obviously, data is going to play a role in making sure you get the best performance, and that's, Marshall, where you come in.
Yes, exactly.
So how much play and say do you have in what you're seeing from the drivers?
So, for example, if Josh comes on the radio and say, hey, the car is over-rotating under braking, I know that we need more ABS intervention on the rear, just to get the rear more stable. And based on these feedbacks, based on what we see on the data, we can find what is the best position on those many ABS positions that we have. So it's a lot of work from the engineer side, but also it's very important to have a really good driver's feedback, so then we can define.
So there you go, that's a great example of how Motorsport ABS and Bosch Motorsport are combining to make sure that every little bit of performance is extracted from these motor vehicles, and you'll see it probably at its best at Turn 3 right here at Queensland Raceway this weekend at the Shannons Speed Series.
As the sun goes down here at Queensland Raceway, the racing action is about to heat up, of course. The Monochrome GT4 Australia will go out for their opening race of the weekend. There is going to be plenty of talking points. And as you saw there in that piece with our very own Tech Talk guru, Chris Stubbs, ABS is a major one. But there is plenty for us to look out for as these guys go racing under lights.
There is so much going on inside the cabin of these cars, and ABS is just one of the minor details that these drivers are going to be thinking about. 27 cars on the grid for Monochrome GT4 Australia. Add a setting sun, add night time, so you'd assume that most of these drivers will make sure they've got a clear visor on to give them that visibility. But talking to Thomas Randall earlier, he was saying the hardest part is positioning the car. Yes, when a car's behind you, you have the headlights so you know exactly where they are. Once they get alongside you, knowing how much racing room to give, when to turn into the corner, and where you are alongside can be really hard. So these opening few laps, while there's still some light, shouldn't be too much of a problem. Later on, as it gets darker, it's a 1 hour race. Oh, wow, could be spicy.
And one thing we didn't mention is you've also got to factor in the red mist that will descend once we go green and, of course, head into turn 1. But you caught up a little bit earlier with Jed and Jerry Murphy. Let's see their take on their weekend.
We often talk about the motorsport family. Well, it's quite literally the case here because I've got Jed and also Jerry. Gentlemen, This is pretty special, isn't it? There's not too many sports in this country that you can race together at the national level as a family.
No, it's and that's what drew us to GT4. I've been racing for 20 odd years, and you know, I'm aware that my time of being competitive is coming. So we wanted to do something and go out with a bang, and also provide Jed an opportunity to show what he can do.
Well, that's it, Jed. We know that Dad has done all sorts of racing over his time, but I've got to ask the question, who's faster?
Oh, it's always been him, but recently me. So he's getting the hang of this car, though. It's just it's a handful to get used to. Nothing like the rear-engine cars that he's driven recently. So once he gets his head around the front engine, the giant bonnet on these Mercedes, he'll be sweet. We just get him up to speed, and we'll be sweet as.
Jerry, does he take discipline well at home and at the racetrack?
A mission works well, I think. So you don't get this if you beat me. It works much better.
Yeah, there's no upgrades if you don't hold up your end of the boat. Now tell us, this weekend, very special kids. Now, how does this promotion work? And we're doing some fundraising for a really important cause.
Yeah, well, it's a holistic palliative care unit for children. Which, when you think about the equality in the world, you just think, how is that even a thing? But these poor kids have life-limiting illnesses, and these people who are just angels look after them, and the families too. So they offer emotional support, physical support, and whatever the family needs.
Mate, that's really special. So all you've got to do, for those of you that are here this weekend, is come down, scan the QR code. Jed, I'll grab the pen. I'll make my donation in just a moment. I'll jump up on top and we'll get the ball rolling. Where will I go? I'll go right up the front here. Give them a big heart because they're doing a great job. Sign with Stubbsy. Go well. Go well, boys. Thank you. Thanks, mate. Thank you, Jed. Thanks for your time. Go well.
Oh, it's a beautiful story. Richard Crowell and Thomas Randall with you upstairs here at Queensland Raceway in our commentary position, looking out over a pretty stunning afternoon at Queensland Raceway. And Chris Stubbs, probably 250 grand, I reckon he just rolled in there.
Minimum.
Certainly the star power that comes with his name attached to that. In all seriousness, it's a wonderful cause that Jerry and Jed Murphy are putting together, and we wish them all the best and thank them for that. And one of many fantastic charitable causes on offer in the Australian motorsport community. Good afternoon to you. It's been a great afternoon. We've actually been a little bit lucky because there's some weather around southeast Queensland at the moment, and it's all sort of veered around Ipswich and Queensland Raceway. So we've got some overcast conditions, but some blue sky around and a beautiful sunset occurring as well as we get set for 60 minutes of Monochrome GT4 Australia racing into the twilight.
How exciting. All the headlights are on already and into the twilight, which will eventually be into the night. And like you said, it's a beautiful evening here at Queensland Raceway. The wind has been really low all day, and we've so far lucked out with the weather, and I think it's going to be a pretty entertaining first lap here for Monochrome GT4 Australia. The grid's a bit jumbled from kind of what we've seen. We've got a few of our regulars at the front, but then there's a few of them that are towards the back end of the top 10 and even in those mid-teens as well. So there's going to be a lot of guys and girls that really want to get up the pointy end, because we're at that point of the championship, Crailsy, where you need to really be banking those points.
Yeah, we had Aaron Cameron in the commentary box with us for the Motorcraft Ford Mustang Cup earlier today, and he was talking about the fact that he's going to have to get the elbows out a little bit, starting this one from 15th position in the multi-spares racing Ford Mustang. So the field is on the grid. 27 cars will race for an hour, and we can get down there and say good evening to Greg Rust.
I'm on the second row of the grid. This is an unbelievable vibe here, Crailsy, because the lights are on, it's getting dark. Tom Heyman, second row of the grid here. What's the play?
Well, there's two guys in front of us, so we'll see how they go into turn one and see where we end up on the back straight into turn three.
Cool. Has the weekend been okay for you guys so far? Just give us a little kind of debrief on how Friday and Saturday morning played out for you.
Well, yeah, Friday was a bit tough. We were running on some old tyres, weren't really sure where we were sort of going to sit, but yeah, Saturday morning qualifying obviously with P3 and P1 tomorrow, so the car's in a good spot, it's fast, and I think we have something to play with here.
Are you looking forward to this? I mean, from a fan perspective, some of the cars we've had lining the edge of the track today, lights have come on it. From a spectator's point of view, this is ace. What about from a driving standpoint?
Well, obviously it's night time. It's one of the best times you can race. Everyone loves it, and obviously it puts on a great show for the spectators with all the lights. So I'm sure we'll go out there and put on a show for them and enjoy ourselves at the same time.
Go well.
Thank you.
Charlie?
Thanks, Rusty. I'm on the other side of the second row with Daniel Frugas, GWR Australia, in the Supra. Daniel, look, we are talking a lot about what you have to take in as you are heading into twilight racing. What's your preparation been like?
Pretty normal. I don't know, I guess. Just gets a bit dark, turn the lights on, pretty normal.
So does anything change inside your cockpit when it obviously gets racing under lights? Do lights dim inside here? Take us inside what it's like running down here at turn 1 with limited lights above you.
Well, right now it looks pretty good, but I'm sure as the stints go on it'll get a bit more risky. But these cars are pretty good lights, the truck's got lights, so haven't really thought about it, honestly.
Very, very relaxed, Daniel Frugas. Of course, we've seen you go from strength to strength this season so far, hoping to do the same at Queensland Raceway.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the bend didn't go too well our races, but hopefully we can bounce back and have some good results.
Go well. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. With a very relaxed Daniel Frugas, who is absolutely just zenned out there on the second row of the grid in the GWR Supra as they get set for a race start. So the field will be released. It will be a 1 hour Monochrome GT4 Australia Championship race. And this has been spectacular to watch all season long. Hugely competitive racing. And the story to get here started with a pair of qualifying sessions earlier this morning that set the grid for this race and indeed tomorrow as well. 2 different drivers in a lot of these cars, so 2 opportunities to qualify on the grid. It was Blake Purdy who did the business in the Nippy's Audi R8 to qualify on pole position for this one, replicating what he did here 12 months ago as well in the equivalent round in 2025. So the Audi, Tom, is a car that has priors at Queensland Raceway and looks set to be in pretty good shape this week.
It's been very speedy, the last 2 rounds. Unfortunately, missed round 1 with that issue with the car, I think with the gearbox when they were testing at Malala. And then it was a fuel pump relay that failed in qualifying 2. So that sort of paid to that in qualifying 2. They were still fast, but they lost their fastest lap time, although they only dropped 1 position, so it wasn't so bad. But to be on pole position for this one is it's fantastic for Team BRM as well. They're running 3 cars this weekend, 2 in GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS and the 48 Nippies. As we look at our highlights, that feels so long ago, doesn't it, Krause?
It was bright and early this morning out here in Ipswich, and a very competitive start to the morning, and for a time it actually felt like we were racing how hard they were pushing on to try and find a little bit of track position with 27 cars on the circuit. It was a tough fight to make it work. They've got the 30-second borders they prepare to roll out, but yeah, Purdy went out early. He was the first car out of pit lane. They have great pit priority here, and they fired the car out early. They had clean racetrack, and he bashed out the lap time very early in that session to get the job done. This was a moment, Jay Murray off the road in the Slattery car run by McElroy Racing. It's a BMW M4 GT4. He would recover from that as Dad drove by in the Morris car, and he would live to fight another day. A lot of people sort of put everything in the holster with about 5 minutes to go because they got the best out of the Pirelli tyre and they put the cars back in pit lane. So it's Blake Purdy on pole with Jared Hughes alongside him. Tom Heyman will be starting this one from 3rd place.
We just saw that
Silver Class champion.
That replay of Jay Murray going off. He's actually starting next to Aaron Cameron. Yes. So they've locked out row 8. So Aaron Cameron's down in 15th and Jay Murray's 16th. So something we spoke about this morning in qualifying, that multi-spares Mustang really struggling to find the pace today. They were sort of there or thereabouts yesterday, but 1 second off in both of their sessions. So they've got a lot of work to do this afternoon, and they're second in the championship as well. So the best time to try and make up time is at the start, but it is also the riskiest point as well. So with the limiting light that we're approaching here this evening, I'm sure we're in for a very interesting first couple of corners.
Yeah, and our TV cameras, and you'll hear this a lot when you watch racing in twilight, makes it look brighter than it actually is, and it will get dark very quickly here in Ipswich. And we had a great chat with Tony Quinn earlier today, who said the light's more sort of, it's an accoutrement to the racetrack. It doesn't light the thing fully. It's proper night racing. So, as we get ready, this is how they will line up. It is Blake Purdy on pole, so it's Audi, a couple of McLarens next. Daniel Frugas, the lead Supra. Caleb Patterson, outstanding job leading the way in Silver Am out of 5th place. Nick McBride qualified well in the Toyota Supra. Blake Dowdle in the mix there as well. Ryland Gray, Lockie Evanet and Cam McLeod. And you can find your favourite driver a little bit further down the field. And some of them, as you said earlier, are well out of position. Jake Camilleri, 19th. Hometown heroes, done a million laps of this place, is a long way out of position. We've got GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS podium finisher Oscar Target in the box with us for this one as well. Oscar loves some GT4 racing, and his good mate Cammy McLeod's going to be out there as well in this, so looking forward to seeing how he goes. We'll welcome Oscar in just a second as the field is under the control of the BMW M safety car, and we'll roll around to the start-finish line. And we'll get an hour of racing in the night at Queensland Raceway underway. Watch for the Audi. The McLarens have been very strong all weekend, and in all conditions they've been fast, so keep an eye out for Jared Hughes, winner last time out with Summer Rental. By far and away their best qualifying performance of the season. We're racing under the lights at Queensland Raceway. Great start, Daniel Frugas on the outside from the second row in the Supra, but 3 abreast into turn 1 is a challenge. It's Purdy in the Audi who leads, Heyman second. Hughes hanging on around the outside in 3rd place, then Frugas and Patterson battling it on behind for 4th and 5th place. And through the blinding light on the exit of turn 2, it is busy, and it's going to stay that way all the way down to turn number 3.
So everyone made it through turn 1 and turn 2 safely. We're 3 wide. Frugas again tries to go around the outside, and that's Hughes that's gone wide as well in turn 3. They've managed to keep it on the track, but as we get a shot down into turn 4, wow, Purdy has bolted. He's got half a second over the Porsche of Patterson.
So through all that, Patterson's got to 2nd place. So the Porsches come from nowhere, from the 3rd row of the grid. Busy stuff. There's still 2x2 all the way down to about 15th position. What an opening lap this has been for Monochrome GT4 Australia.
It has been absolute chaos, Kralsey, as they continue to fight on the way down to turn 6, and the Method Motorsport McLarens have battled nearly their way backwards to 3rd and 4th from 2nd and 3rd off the line. Some Mustangs there side by side out of the last corner, and they've basically gone side by side for the entire first lap of this race.
So Purdy, Patterson, Hughes, Heyman, Frugas, the top 5. Patterson, the big winner out of all of that. The teammates from Mediki Motorsports side by side, the 2 Mustangs battling it on. Blake Dowdle and George Mediki for 7th and 8th position. It's Dowdle on the inside. The Lubrimax car is Mediki, who's starting this race because his teammate might have to drive solo tomorrow potentially, because George and his family on baby watch at the moment back in Port Macquarie.
Yeah, this is unusual territory for George to be starting this race. And Cam McLeod up into 6th position as well. So Cam McLeod, there's 3 Fords that were all battling there at the final corner, and they're still battling down. There's a McLaren trying to go down the inside. I think that is Will Exton on the inside of Shearer down into turn 4. But Purdy so far has done the business, got the start, got the jump, and he's got a nice little buffer there, almost 1 second over Patterson. But that, I'd love to see what Patterson was able to do in that opening lap, because he's got up into 2nd position.
It was pretty special, whatever it was. Remarkable that they should all come out pointing in the right direction, being 2x2, but even more so in the back of the field, they were 3x3 for a long way round that opening lap of the race.
There's been some really fast starting Fords in this race. McLeod, Dowdle, Midaki, Aaron Cameron up 5 positions, so they've all absolutely flown, which we've seen this year so far in GT4. The Mustangs are really strong in the first few laps, and maybe their pace won't be as strong as this stint goes on, but it's interesting to see that trend continues, and they all jump up a fair few places in the first few laps.
Ryder Quinn in that orange BMW was just having a look up the inside of car 101. It's been driven by McCutcheon at the moment, but that's significant because the other driver in that car is Popeye Grandpa. That's Tony Quinn's car. So Ryder needs to be a little bit careful there. 14th and 15th position, here they are. And in the midst of that is Sam Paley, the American in that yellow Ford Mustang, trying to work his way through. Purdy by 1.2 seconds, so the Nippies out, he's cleared out. Patterson being caught by Jared Hughes, who's next. And then we go back and find Heyman and Frugas, and they're all in a big fight. And it's basically a freight train all the way back down to, well, 27th place in Peter Lawrence.
So Caleb Patterson started this race in 5th, up in a second, leading Silver Amp. Let's not forget that. So the next Silver Amp car is 9th outright. And our top 2 cars on the road, the 48 Audi and the 28 Porsche, they don't have to take any compensation time either. As we look back at the race start, perfect getaway for Purdy, and that was Frugas trying to make it, well, he did make it 3 wide into turn 1, and there's Patterson just sitting back for the moment. We didn't really keep our eyes on him at this point, but keeping it down the inside through turn 1 and 2 allowed him to then have the inside for turn 3, and the heavens kind of opened up for him when we got down to turn 3.
I've got a report in my ears, and I didn't want to bring it up because it was all going on, that there were some light spits of rain on the opening lap as well, but they had enough going on. Here's the move. Caleb Patterson sends it from miles back in the braking zone to turn 3. That's Jared Hughes in the McLaren going a long way deep into 3 in the braking zone, and that's what opened the door for Patterson to get up the inside.
So Heyman was trying to defend from Hughes, but kind of forgot that he'd left a bit of room on the inside, and Patterson took advantage of that, and then Hughes just kind of outbroke himself and opened the doors for Patterson. But now we're really starting to see the pace from Jared Hughes and Heyman. So both those McLarens now are really starting to fire, as is the man out in front, Blake Purdy. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:13.7.
Well, 13.1's the lap record set by Tom McLennan a couple of years ago. I wonder, Oscar, in these cool conditions, the fast racetrack, the lap record might be given a nudge this evening.
I think so. You know, first race of the weekend, tyres are fresh, very cool conditions, and it will only get better as it gets darker and the lights come on. And it's interesting to see the different manufacturers here and how the tyre warm-up goes. You know, it looked as if those 2 McLarens up the front struggled to get the tyres up to temp early on in these cold conditions, but now they're absolutely flying, and Jared Hughes and Tom Heyman are all over the back of Patterson in that Porsche. So it'll be interesting to see through this stint how it develops, and as it gets colder, who's got the tyre pressures right, who's got the conditions right, because it will change a lot throughout this race.
It was interesting to see through turn 2 how quickly Jared Hughes ranged up behind that Porsche of Caleb Patterson, but then the Porsche's better in a straight line, and last time by it was quicker to the tune of 7 k's an hour at the speed trap on the run out into turn 3. And Jared's been talking about the fact they've had to adapt on how to drive this car, having jumped out of the machinery they were in last year in the Mercedes AMG. It's a very different way the McLaren Artura produces its speed. He said you've really got to carry the mid-corner speed in the McLaren. It's where it's strongest, but it gives away a little bit in straight line.
We saw that last year, didn't we, between the McLarens and the Fords on the straights. That Medeki Ford just made up all the time, but in the corners, this, you know, light, low centre of gravity McLaren makes up the time in those mid-corners. So
look at the Porsche pulling away down the back straight. But that's the beauty of this style of racing. They'll all do an identical lap time, but they produce their speed in different places. Brake rotors glowing on the front of Caleb Patterson's car. He's under pressure though. And Hughes just stuck the nose up the inside at turn 3. Purdy still leads the gap, 2.3 seconds.
Hughes really needs to try and clear Patterson, as now he goes down the inside of Patterson at turn number 4. Great move. Nothing Patterson can do to try and retaliate. And Patterson was kind of the cork in the bottle there, because Hughes needed to clear him. He's got that extra 15 seconds compensation time after they won that amazing Sunday Mother's Day race at the Bend last time out. And 15 seconds right now, you know, that'll put him a fair way down the order. In the pit window, that opens 25 minutes into the race, and it's open for about 10 minutes. So there's a bit of time there to get that pit stop done, but there's always a bit of controversy in GT4 around the pit window. Normally that's when a safety car falls.
Wow.
Don't want to jinx it.
Yeah. Rather not talk about Taylor Bend in race 1. Although Jared Hughes and Summer Rintoul will cheer your ear off about it.
Or Phillip Island.
A great result for them. Yeah, some confusion about when you can pit. those that read the rule book correctly got it right and didn't get penalised. Lockie Evanet on a fast lap. He's in the Toyota Supra. He's currently in 8th position in car number 88. Blake Purdy just driving away out in front. This must be just Christmas coming early for him in June, because he's got clear racetrack. He doesn't have traffic to deal with. He's got all the perfect visibility in the world, and the Audi's going along nicely.
Yeah, that Audi's been fast. I feel like it's got the perfect sort of balance between what we're seeing here with the McLarens and the Porsches battling for the second position there. The Porsche is really fast in a straight line. McLaren's quite slow, but you can visually see it's braking 10 or 15 metres later, and I feel like the Audi's about half the gap between the McLaren and the Porsche in a straight line, but it also halves the gap between them in the braking zones and sort of gets the best of both worlds. And they've got that car down at BRM hooked up at the moment, and they're just driving off into the distance.
Sounds a lot like the Audi R8 GT3 car, doesn't it? Good all-rounder.
Our good friend here, Thomas Randall, will know a lot about that.
Did you two get into each other at any point over the last 2 rounds when you were racing GT World Challenge together?
I don't think so. I tried to put the pressure on Oscar at Phillip Island, race 1, but he held his own, and he did a great job.
There was some headlight flashing on the back straight there, and if I was a betting man, I'd say that it's coming from car 227, Cam McLeod, that is, in the first of the Ford Mustangs. It seems like a Cam McLeod thing to do. You're very good mates with Cam, you grew up together, but he would strike me as the kind of guy that would get on the flasher nice and early.
I think Cammy's sort of learnt a thing or two from me, and Matt just even hold the flasher button down the entire lap. So he's flying as well. He's got to the back of this pack that at the moment is Hughes, Patterson, Heyman and Frugus, and Cammy's just sort of made that a battle of 5 now, and you know, it'll be interesting, this battle, if he can get to the back of Frugus. We know they've had a few run-ins in the past.
Well, Lockie Evanet, we saw it at turn 6, just got up the inside of Blake Dowdle. So that's for 7th and 8th position to the Toyota. The young man from Townsville has got the Ville Casino on the bonnet of that car this weekend. He's climbed another spot, going forward nicely. He's 2nd in the Silver Ram class behind Caleb Patterson. Nathan Callahan, by the way, is leading AM, is 20th outright, with Walker just in behind him. So they're having a good battle, Porsche versus Ford Mustang in the battle for the AM class. 45 minutes to go in this one. Blake Purdy is your leader by 2.3 seconds. This is the battle between Caleb Patterson and Tom Heyman, the 3rd and 4th place on the road. Patterson, though, comfortably leading his class at the moment.
Yeah, Heyman's just stuck in behind Patterson at the moment. However, Caleb's only just under a second behind Hughes, so like Hughes hasn't dropped him as such. It's just whether or not Hughes now can try and make inroads on Purdy, but this lap alone, the 2 leaders, they're matching each other in both sectors, so Purdy's doing a great job out in front, and he still is holding the fastest lap of the race at 13.6. It's about 2.4 seconds is the gap.
Let's go down to Shannon's pit lane with Chris Stubbs.
Richard, the rains have arrived. Yes, it's sprinkling at this stage, just sprinkling, but everyone out here on the wall looking to the skies, and the wet weather tyres are certainly out and ready if needed. It's getting heavier by the moment.
Thank you, Dr. Stubbs of the weather department. So I imagine what you're doing now is you're hoping it doesn't get too bad so you can pit in the mandatory pit stop window in the middle of the race, rather than having to make a second pit stop just to put wets on.
Well, the good thing is that if the timing's right and you've got to change to wets, it does change your pit stop time. So if you're changing from slicks to wets, the minimum pit lane time will change to 2 minutes and 33 seconds. So it's not like it's about who does it as quick as everyone else. It then changes, allowing people that bit of extra time, as that's a move down.
Frugus.
Patterson.
Frugus up the inside of Patterson, so nice position, and Caleb had already been passed by Tom Heyman as well. So the Porsche struggling a little bit in this phase of the race. He's dropped a couple of spots. His battles with Lockie Evanet in the Silver Ram race, and Lockie's just on the back of this queue as well. And the grip level, Oscar, is changing.
I wonder if that Porsche of Caleb Patterson, it is absolutely hosing down now out there on the turn 1. With all that weight in the back of the car compared to some of these other big front engine cars, if he's picking up understeer in these wet conditions, you know, Thomas, it's about the worst thing you can have in the rain. So it'll be interesting to see if he can hold his own, but it's not as easy in these cars just to come in and change tyres. They're like a road car. They've got a standard 5-stud wheel on it. So it's not like a GT3 car where you can just come in, rattle one nut off, put another wheel on. So it's going to be interesting to see who might be able to hang it out to the compulsory pit stop window.
What it is, it might be sketchy for the drivers. It's incredibly atmospheric for us.
I know where I'd rather be.
Up here is a great vantage point too, overlooking the circuit, basically from where this camera is. Very atmospheric, the lights taking effect, sunset still going on, and the rain just sweeping across the venue.
It's just, it's not enough rain at the moment. Looking at the radar, it just doesn't look like enough to change to wets. As a driver, just at this point of the race, you just got to tough it out. There's a bit going on here in the back here. I think that's about 12th from 10th onto 15th into the last corner. They're too wide. It's like we're doing a side-by-side restart here.
This is crazy stuff. Willie Exton at the front of this queue in the McLaren. Zach Suter is in this, George Miedeke, McCutcheon, Aaron Cameron, who you'd feel in these challenging conditions may come into his own. McCutcheon there in the Game Over Supra. And at the back of it, Sam Paley, the American, who's been driving with the Wallace team this season long. What an indoctrination this is. And yeah, it's the battle for 11th position down, with Exton now having gapped them. So Cameron's still only 14th place at the moment for the multi-spares racing car. Whatever it is in car number 27, they are struggling with it. Their teammates a long way up the road in 6th place. And this is really busy side by side. You can see now that how wet the surface is there on the exit of turn 3, and they're struggling for grip. Miedeke now on the outside. McCutcheon, the Kiwis will traditionally go to the front in these conditions too, so keep an eye. They spend most of their life racing in it over there in challenging low grip conditions. Around the outside goes Aaron Cameron now. 2 Mustangs going blows through turn 5. And in the back of that is the Toyota Supra. Let's quickly get down to Shannon's pit lane with Rusty.
I've just been on the wall with the Thunder Buddies crew, with Steve Jackich, and they've been on the radio to Ryder Quinn. His words echo exactly what you just said. The main worry is turn 3, but they're adamant this will pass. They've got to stay out there. They can't afford to come in and change, Krause, because it won't last this way.
Whoa, big moment. Big moment for Sam Paley. Just past the start-finish line. Thank you, Rusty. And the Queenslanders would know what this weather's going to do. That was an enormous moment, and he ended up over pit exit. Now, cast your mind back 12 months, and the multi-spares racing car had an enormous accident in similar conditions in twilight running here at Queensland Raceway, and ended up parked well in the fence on the start-finish straight. It was an enormous accident. So I'm not sure what happened there, but wow, that was huge.
Well, it is his birthday today, so that might be an early birthday present, keeping that car out of the wall. We were just about to see what went down on the way into turn 1 for Paley. So has there been contact there with Miedeke maybe? Yes, there has. Slight bit of contact, and again, so they've got into each other twice. That's
what a catch. Oh. That is a better
great save.
That's a better save than the New York Knicks in the NBA playoffs. That is incredible.
Oh, no!
Backing it in. Tom Heyman gathers it up at turn 1. Championship contender in the silver class. He's going to skate it right out to the other side of the gravel trap. The grip level is diminishing. The rain is getting harder. The circuit getting wetter. And they are struggling to stay on the black stuff at the moment.
It's hard enough in the daytime, Krause, because you can actually see the road. You can see how much the track is getting wetter or drier, but when it's at night, you can't really tell. And there's so much reflection as well with the water, with the lights, so these are tough conditions, and unfortunately that's just caught Heyman out. A great save though, because he could have easily have beached that car. So he's back on the track. He's dropped to 8th, but it's not all doom and gloom. There's a long way to go, and we're actually not that far away from the pit window opening. So how are teams going to play this? Are they going to think we need to pit early, or wait it out, wait out it all the way to the 10 minutes of that pit window and decide what are we going to do with tyres? Do we keep slicks on, or do we consider wet tyres?
Well, I've seen Richard Craill in his time be a bit of a weatherman, and he looks like he's all over it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, because some of these guys might have a driver that's getting in the car that is faster than whoever's currently driving the car. And the traditional strategy would be, as soon as the pit window opens, get the car in, get the faster driver in the car and go. But in these conditions, if you do that and then 2 minutes later it starts hosing down rain, you're done for. You're down a pit stop and everyone that waited it out is going to be ahead. So there's a bit of strategy here, because if you do take the risk and it does come off and doesn't rain, you could jump 3, 4, 5 positions.
Or vice versa to that. To your point, Oscar, is if you put wets on and it dries up, you cook a set of wets, you're going to come back in for slicks, and when you change tyres, you've got to add 2 minutes. That's the time that you've got to add when you change from wets to slicks, or back to slicks from wets. So as we've got one of the Mustangs going slowly,
it's Walker.
Yeah.
And plus contender.
Is that out of turn 2, I think?
Yep, he's limping down the back straight. They've got the white flags, and all the marshal points are illuminated here so the drivers can see what the flags they're being shown are, and the LED light panels around the venue as well.
So just looking out of the comp box, it looks like the rain has really eased up, because we could kind of see water flying across the track with the angle we've got here, and that sort of stopped here on the main straight at least. So at the moment, I would say the track's probably in good condition. It's not raining right now, and I think if you were to pit now, you're just going to keep the slicks on and change drivers.
Very atmospheric, isn't it? It's great. This is not quite the first hour of the Bathurst 12 hour, but it's approaching those vibes. It's brilliant. This is very cool. Blake Purdy's doing an outstanding job, and buried in the gravel trap, it's Porsche. And I think it could be Cy Pearson. Car number 6, that's at turn 6, so well buried in that gravel trap just before pit entry. And let's have a look at what happened here.
Is there contact with the Mercedes maybe, or has he gone in? Ooh, I think he's just gone in too deep, boys. And unfortunately, that's a very thick gravel trap. And you know what, Crailsey? If he can't get that thing out of there, we're getting pretty close to this pit window. Could be a safety car.
It could be a gift for everybody. And safety car boards and flags. So we go full course yellow. We'll be under the control of the BMW M safety car. They'll get the Ford Ranger Raptor recovery vehicle down there. We've shown a couple of times today that recoveries happen down there very rapidly. How does this work with the pit stops?
So the pit window will open in 2 minutes, I believe. So we could end up in a situation here like we did at Tailem Bend, where they could be coming past the pit entry and it could count down and tick over that 25-minute mark.
Yeah.
And you could see people deliberately going slow under safety car to make it into the pits, or you could see, like Jared Hughes and Summer Rintoul did in race 2 at Tailem Bend, jump from right at the back of the field to right at the front because they get in the pit lane at the right time. As we already have someone in the pit lane, it might be that Mustang that was going slowly down the back straight a few minutes ago, but...
Correct, it's Walker.
We'll just have to see whether or not there is a chance that they could delay the pit window opening when you're in this sort of circumstance. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Otherwise, the pit window will officially open in just over a minute's time. So
it's going to get hectic.
There could be a bit of interest here as well. If they do open the pit window and only certain cars get in and they're midway through that recovery, and that recovery is happening on the pit entry, do some cars make it in, then the pit entry is closed while the recovery is happening? Anything could happen here.
Well, we can Monday morning quarterback this until the cows come home, but we'll wait and see what the decision is from Motorsport Australia Race Control. They go through the process and work what's right, firstly from a safety point of view, but then their focus is making sure that the sporting side of things is kept as equal as it possibly can be. What a sight that is, looking out from turn number 1 over turn 2, the sunset over in the west.
Now this really hurts number 87 because everyone's bunched up now. They've got that extra 15 seconds compensation time. It hurts.
Well, they've done a job where, with the field the way it had split, they would have dropped out back half of the top 10. Now 15 seconds drops them a long way down the field for Jared Hughes and Summer Rintoul.
And it adds insult to injury for the Aaron Cameron car as well, because they've got extra compensation time as well.
Yep, they've got 10 seconds.
And the 227, I believe, has got 5 seconds as well. So
correct.
This is the worst thing you want when you haven't pitted. Everyone's bunched up together and you know you've got to sit in the pit lane for extra time, as there is our Ford Ranger Raptor recovery vehicle four-wheel drive Baja mode, surely, as we mentioned earlier. It's had to recover a few cars at turn 6 and has been doing a great job at it.
Surely to be Fink mode after last week, maybe.
It is.
I know it does
literally
have,
is a
I know it does have Baja mode.
It'll be interesting to see if they do open the pit entry this lap. We've ticked over the elapsed time to open the CPS window, but like you said, Thomas, they might close the pit entry just for the simplicity of not having an absolute disaster like we have had in the past. So it'll be interesting. You got any update on that?
There's been no word of it so far. Normally, if there's no word of it being delayed, it means it should be open. So I don't think we're very far away from seeing this pit lane getting busy. Rusty?
Just before the safety car, Thomas, you saw that issue for the 14 of Walker, the Tractix Mustang. Now, the crew have some lights set up here. Aaron Seaton is talking to them. They have it up off the deck, and they're telling me at this stage that it is a gear position sensor issue for that car.
Thank you, Rusty. Be on your toes, my friend. It's going to get real busy down there because the safety car is about to be the only car left on Queensland Raceway. Every other car has headed to pit lane. The mandatory pit stop window is open. Service will be underway behind the safety car. So a free pit stop, a costly stop for those with compensation time from success in the most recent race at the Ben Motorsport Park. But this is going to be chaos.
If you're the safety car, you may as well put it in park at the end of pit exit because there's not a car on the track right now. Everyone is in the lane, and as it stands, the Blake Purdy Audi should come out still in the lead with Job Stewart, and then it should be the Frugus Toyota Supra.
Well, they've got the key pit lane positioning, the Audi of Purdy and Job Stewart, but it'll be interesting to see further down the pit lane here as these cars are stacked up. Some of them aren't going to get out of their pit boxes at this point, so if they start getting pushed back, some people might leave early. We know it's a very contentious topic to leave early, but anything could happen.
Just listen. It is completely silent here at Queensland Raceway. There are 2 cars behind the safety car, and that's it. Everyone else has their engine shut off in pit lane. I've caught a lot of GT racing over the years, and I have never seen anything like this, where everyone is in the lane all at once and the entire racetrack is silent. It's quite extraordinary. And a little bit more rain potentially falling. You're making the international gesture, Thomas, for that. George Meadey out, gets the thumbs up from his crew after a racy start to his race.
Purdy's been jumped by Frugus and by the Porsche as well, the Patterson. So once we get our drivers switched around, look at the rain coming down into turn 1 here on our camera shot. Rusty?
Taking the words out of my mouth, Jared Hughes is walking down the lane. What are the track conditions like there at the moment?
Good fun. No, it's a bit hard to see because nighttime, hard to see the rain coming on your windscreen. So just trying to talk back to pit lane to see how much rain was actually coming down. But it was a little bit hairy out there. Almost had a couple of moments where I thought I was gone, but no, we hung on to it.
Okay, any little messages for Summer before she headed out then?
Hang on to it.
Righto, thank you, mate.
Useful feedback from Jared Hughes to Summer Rintle. Hang on to it. So it's going to be car number 9, which is the GWR Supra. That'll be Chris White, the New Zealand GR86 champion, who'll be behind the wheel of that car, having taken over from Daniel Frugus. The fronts are locked on Cy Pearson's Porsche. Now they've got it clear. They're just so wadded into the gravel trap down there at turn 6. They've finally got this car out.
Yeah, he's probably just holding the brake on just to keep the tension in the tow rope so he doesn't drive over it as he does. But at least they got that thing out of there, and there is our BMW M safety car just coming around the final corner. I'll tell you what, they nearly needed that safety car a lap later because who knows what people would have done with tyres. It is raining again. You can see on this shot here what helps us, because it's nighttime and you got all the lights, you can visibly see the rain coming down on the track. So will anyone gamble here and put a wet on it? I doubt it, but geez, everyone's out there on slicks and trying to keep some sort of temp in the tyres. I mean, it's going to be crazy when we go racing again, and all the drivers, they're kind of pioneers because no one's raced yet. They're just thrown into the dark, they're thrown into wet conditions. Righto, here's the keys. It's starting to rain again. Please keep it on the track.
Well, and if you're a driver, Oscar, that's driving solo, you're actually in a better position because while you've been in pit lane, and yes, your tyres won't be the same temp and pressure they were before you stopped and before the safety car, at least you know the conditions better than everyone that's been sitting in pit lane being entertained by the action like we have.
Yeah, exactly. If you're out there, you know what you're going to deal with. But is it raining harder now than it was earlier? Maybe. Would it be a massive call to come in the pits right now and get wets? Yes. Could you look like the world's biggest hero when you win the race by 3 laps? Also yes. But it'll be interesting to see. No one's come in yet, and they've cleared that car. Looks like the Ford Ranger is coming back into the pit lane after recovering that Porsche out of the turn 6 gravel trap. So it's very likely the safety car lights will go out this lap. It's still raining, and who knows what's going to happen on the restart. But an interesting one to me is that we pointed out during the pit stop cycle, the Audi that was clearly in front of this race has had a bit of a mishap in the pit stop and dropped back to 3rd place.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was no compensation time for the 48 Audi, and he's dropped to 3rd. So he's lost out to Green, that Porsche that Caleb Patterson did such a fantastic job on the race start, moving up from 5th to 2nd. And dropping back, eventually back to 5th, and now they're back up to 2nd. So it's like a bit of a yo-yo for them at the moment. Anyway, safety car in this lap, lights are out, and it's White that's going to take away the field on this restart.
Fast Kiwis in inclement conditions go to the front. The fun story is Scott Green is in 2nd place. He's filling in for Kent Quinn in the Neurogenic Proteins car this weekend. Kent had a trip to Monaco pre-booked years ago. He's still in Europe at the moment, so Scott got the call-up. Hugely experienced Hyundai Excel racer, but he's a mechanic. Was the number 1 mechanic on the Silver Am title-winning car from last year from Aaron Seaton and Jason Novosel. So he's on the tools.
I think we just saw an overtake from Blake Tracy before the control line on the restart, so I don't think that'll go down too well for, as the 36 is now off of turn 1. That's Cavalieri.
From inside the top 10.
He might not be the only one.
So what a baptism of fire for Green, who's checked the field up, had a little moment going into turn 2, busy. This is Summer Rintoul, who's off the road as well. Everyone's struggling for grip, and she'll jump right to the back of the field. Chris White, what a restart it's been for him. The Neurogenic Protein Porsche recovers after a slow run through turn 2. Job Stewart is next, and then Jet Murray. Cooper Cutts, the West Aussie, up to 5th place in car number 95. So this has been productive for that team.
It's rather damp out there now, just on that first lap. They're down 4 seconds in the first sector as the Audi looks down the inside of the Porsche at turn 4. Up on the outside, though, in these tricky conditions, he gets squeezed out a little bit on the way into 5, but they're tiptoeing around at the moment compared to their normal racing speed, and it looks slippery out there.
Yeah, and Green hustled out wide there at turn 5. He had a slow exit from the corner, and that's going to open the door for Cooper Cutts to go past. It was busy behind. That was Blake Tracy with the big St. Jensen Shearer in the Porsche there, and Jay Murray up to 8th position now, charging his way through the field. Remember, he started back in 15th position. Massive battle pack going on for the miners at the moment. 24 minutes to go under lights at Queensland Raceway as the rain comes down.
Now, these are conditions that Blake Tracy thrives in. I remember watching him in the Trans Am at Sandown in the wet, and he did an amazing job until he got a puncture.
There's one.
There's Green going a bit wide, but Blake Tracy up into 5th. He absolutely loves these conditions.
Look at the battle pack tightly bunched up on the long run down towards turn 3. 225 k's an hour, even in these conditions. From a GT4 Australia car, Murray now. Green just struggling to get up to speed in the Porsche. It's a lightweight, nimble little car, and it is known for struggling to generate tyre temperature. So I think he is really struggling. He still leads the Silver Am class, though. And actually, the other big winner in all that's been Glenn Nerwin. He's up to 9th outright, 2nd in the Silver Am class. The Tough Lift Racing McLaren.
It's a great drive from the number 7 BMW up to 5th. They started in 16th. Remember, they were starting next to Aaron Cameron. So they're up into the top 5 as Blake Tracy now is up into 4th as well. It looks like it's tough conditions for that 28 Porsche, really trying to hang on there. As, oh, that's Tracy gone round. Oh, no.
The Lubrimax Mustang recovers, gets just in front of the field, but the entire grid is all bunched up there, 2x2 Noah's Ark style on the run into turn 1. Johnson in there. He's up to 7th position. 6th position now for the son of the AFL legend. Jet Murray moving forward. Jay Murray's got himself to 3rd place. The BMW is loving these conditions at the moment. The young man from Geelong charging his way up the order.
There is some serious rain now coming down there on the exit of turn 2. Jay Murray has absolutely put the jets on in these conditions. In the first sector alone, he's 7, 8, 9 tenths a lap faster than the cars ahead of him. A big move down the inside at turn 3.
So Shearer and Johnson going side by side there, and Johnson having a bit of a snap of oversteer on the exit of turn 3, as that's another one of the McLarens struggling to get out of. I think that's Sorensen that really struggled to get off turn 3. What's interesting though is I'm not seeing a lot of windscreen wipers in operation yet, so maybe it looks worse for us. I'm just not seeing not many cars using windscreen wipers at the moment, so maybe the rain is not as bad as we think, or maybe it's making the glare worse.
Behind Chris White, the race leader, he's 2.6 seconds clear. It's a battle of the J's at the moment. Job leading Jay, Jensen, Jet, Jack, and in 9th position, Jed. So every various incarnation of a first name you could get starting with a J is in the top 10 at the moment. Oh, and Jake is 13th in Camilleri.
And we've got Jared. Jared Kite, all the way down to 19th.
Oh, Nathan Murray, son of Jay, is father of, is down in 25th position. There's been some dooring going on there as well.
Big mark on the side of the door there.
That's down at turn 6. That's on that high-speed entry to the corner.
And there has, it's with the Supra.
Andrew Torty, the 88 car that Lockie Evanet did such a good job in at the start of the race.
So he managed to drive off, and then maybe he can't find reverse. That's just such an awkward position to be in. I think if he can't get that thing moving, we're going to have to go, and we'll just go safety car. So safety car with, there's just under 21 minutes remaining in this one. So White leading from Stewart, Jay Murray, Shearer, Jet Murray, and now he gets it in reverse. So this will be a pretty short safety car, I'd like to think.
Just as the leader gets to them too. Jack Wallace in 9th position. So this drags them a little bit closer. Glenn Nerwin next. Other drivers we've been following, Lockie Dalton is 11th in the 27 car, so they still really haven't found mass time. Jake Camilleri 12th, Blake Tracy back to 13th position, Mason Harvey 14th position. And that car with Cam McLeod was running in the top 6 at the start of the race. M-Class leaders Chris Lillis, and they're in 16th position.
So if we look back to, where's Summer Rintoul? So after that off she had, I don't know if she's maybe had another off, but they're all the way down in 23rd position. So they were up in the 2nd place earlier in this one, and that car qualified 2nd. So the timing of the safety car didn't help with that extra 15 seconds, but then that off she had, it's been a tough night for those guys, unfortunately.
Really well judged restart by Chris White at the start of that Toyota Supra, having jumped the field in the pit stop, got to the front, no compensation time. Supra really well balanced package in these conditions. And he had more than 2.5 seconds over Job Stewart. But this brings the Audi back into the equation now nicely, this safety car bunching the field up.
There's been some big movers in this one. So Jay Murray, as we said, started 16th up to 3rd. And even Shearer, they started 10th and they're up into 4th. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this one. I know a lot's happened in the last 38 minutes of racing. And as we see, the safety car just letting that BMW past unlap itself. So I'd say we're probably not too far away from a restart. Maybe next time by. And Rusty, what have you got for us?
The activity of some of the crew chiefs, the experienced people on the pit wall at this time, Thomas. So there are some still tiny sprinkles, but it's easing. Now, Garth Walden has just got on the radio to Chris White and said, hey, mate, really important. Let's maintain the brake temp, keep the temp in those tyres. You've got good pace. They've just seen that prior to the safety car, but what they want him to be able to do is to be able to do exactly the same thing once we get a restart underway, and to have that confidence underneath you.
Thanks, Rusty. Garth Walden's been there, done that, and won most of it in motorsport. So, pretty sage guy to have on the radio, coaching you through a wet weather night racing restart in a GT4 car.
there's pros and cons to being the leader, Crailsy. The pros are you've got no one in front of you. There's not that there's any spray right now, but you've got the clear track and you've got no one to disturb you, all that sort of stuff. But the downside is you're the pioneer. So you're the first one to hit the track with whatever conditions it might be. So it's tricky turn one. We've seen how treacherous this has been. So many cars have gone off at turn one. We're just looking at car number 5, which is Nathan Murray passing the safety car with no green lights on. So that's probably a pretty slam dunk penalty there, unfortunately. And safety car is in this lap. So for White, it's all about just trying to compose himself on this restart. And yeah, the fun begins when he enters turn one in good conditions that he's probably not sure of. If it was you, Oscar, what's going through your mind on the restart if you're leading this one?
Well, it's very interesting because I've been watching out our commentary box window here at a light that shows the rain very well, and just as Rusty said, it was getting lighter in the pit lane. About half a second later, it started getting a lot heavier, and just now it's gotten lighter and I can nearly see no rain in that light. So it's going to be interesting. It looked like there was a lot of grip down there, but then we saw 3, 4, 5 cars off in the first 2 corners on the last restart. So in the lead, good position, 15 minutes to go. I would say White will be a little bit conservative, try to get a good gap like he had before. He's fast in these conditions, as we've seen from the last little stint there, and being a Kiwi, he's probably very used to it.
There are some drivers having potentially a very, very good night at the pointy end of this field. What about 22-year-old Jensen Shearer in the Porsche, scrabbling round to round to get the budget together to go racing in the supercar insurance car. It's his boss who owns that business, who helps him out, lets him go racing. He's in 4th place, trying to chase down Jay Murray. We're back to green. 16 minutes remaining in Monochrome GT4. Turn one, tick. What about turn 2?
Not a tick yet. Oh, a big moment for, I think that was Murray into turn 2 there. Hopefully he managed to gather it up, but he was sideways on the approach to turn 2. I think he's got away with it. But now the long run down the back straight into turn 3. There's a lot of headlights heading down into what is, massive moment for White at turn 3. Does he gather it up? I think he does, but went a bit too deep.
You can tell it's quite damp down there as the headlights reflect off the ground. That's the only sign you have in these dark conditions that you might have a bit of water on the track, but White did a great job to gather that up and keep in the lead.
Job Stewart hassling the back of the Toyota Supra. Jay Murray next, Shearer just behind, then it's Jet Murray, Johnson in the McLaren, he shares with Willie Exton. Cooper Cutts in the Ford Mustang is there, Green hanging on in that green Porsche. Hyundai Excel racer making his debut at GT4. Shearer down the inside of Murray, wrestles the position away at turn 6 and goes to 3rd.
Yeah, great move there in the last corner. I think Nerwin got spun around or something happened to that McLaren at turn 3 on the opening lap, so he's dropped all the way back to 25th. White with a near perfect restart, just went a little bit wide at turn 3, still holds the lead from Job Stewart. Shearer with that nice move up into the top 3, and Jay Murray getting a much better run through turn 2 on this lap than he did in the last one. It could be side by side or 3 wide here into turn 3 because Jet Murray is right in there as well.
It's very impressive to see White here in these tricky conditions doing such a good job. You know, you race against Job in the Supercars Championship, and who's very, very confident, and he's driving away from him quite comfortably. So, you know, maybe the Kiwi heritage is coming back to help him out as we see the Norganics car run a little bit wide there on the exit of 3 and get himself in a battle heading down to turn 4.
Yeah, so there's some recovering drivers in here. Jake Camilleri in the mix, getting himself towards the top 10. Mason Harvey is in that battle pack. Jack Wallace has worked his way through, and Lockie Dalton now up to 8th place in the 27 car. So as this race goes on, the multi-spares racer is gradually creeping its way back towards the front of the field. Here we go, side by side.
It's Blake Tracy.
That's
Mason Harvey.
Yep, at turn 6 and gets by. So gets that position done. Remember, they're a little bit out of position after that moment earlier off the road. Chris White, now he's settled down, worked out where his braking marker at turn 3 is. He's got 1.4 seconds over Job Stewart. So to your point, Oscar, is easing away now from the Audi R8, which is really impressive. Jensen Shearer is catching Job Stewart, if anything, in the fight for second and third place. Silver Am still being led by Green, but now back in 13th position. Silver class cars first through 12th all the way at the pointy end of the leaderboard. Chris Lewis up to 14th place in that Porsche, leading the way in the Am class.
It doesn't feel that long ago when the Patterson Porsche was up in second position and back down in 13th. So it hasn't been a great second half of this, unfortunately, for that car. As that's another move for, I think that's Lockie Dalton on Johnson. So that moves him up into 7th. So it's been a great recovery drive for these guys. I'd say the way this race has panned out with these safety cars has been a benefit for those guys. They started in 15th, up into the top 7 now. Can he hunt down Cooper Cutts, our reigning Radical Cup Australia champion, who stepped up into Monochrome GT4 Australia. So out in front, White from Job Stewart. Shearer in 3rd. And then it's quite close between Shearer, the two Murrays, and Cooper Cutts.
They're unrelated, the two Murrays, by the way.
Great to clarify that.
Jay and Jet.
It is a little bit confusing because there is a pair of related Murrays, but then a third Murray that's not related to the first related pair. It's just, it's all over the show, isn't it, Krause?
Correct, it is.
It's like the Kostekis.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
Some are cousins, some are brothers. Yeah. They're all fast. So take a deep breath with under 12 minutes to go in this one. The battle is still on. Chris White is easing away at the moment, looking to get Toyota Supra from GWR Australia another win. Daniel Frugas has already been successful in this championship.
I think that was down the inside. Murray on Murray, Jet Murray on Jay Murray at turn 4. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, that's all right.
So that puts Jet Murray up into the top 4.
Seems like Jay Murray was really liking those changeable wet, dry, slippery conditions in that BMW of his, and then as it sort of dried up and the rain stopped, he's just not quite got the pace. But Chris White aboard that Supra is absolutely showing everyone how it's done. We've got a collision here in the last corner.
Johnson and Green as well caught up in that. And there's another McLaren caught up behind it. That's Ryan Sorensen in the Method Motorsport number 11
Oh, this is really awkward.
Yeah, look, they're all checked up and stopped, and that's the Jared Kite Ford Mustang that's stuck there as well. Back down in 23rd place now, and I think Glenn Nerwin might have been involved in that at some point as well in the tough lift car. Turn 6, so 2 Mustangs there. And was there contact from Wallace will be the question. It turned the Dexion car around. Jake Camilleri was just sort of parked there going, oh, what's going on here? And then everyone else comes into the scene at high speed and has to take evasive action.
That could have been a lot worse. The Porsche just touched the McLaren there, but that could have been a much bigger accident. So we've actually gone safety car, which I'm just trying to see. I think all the cars are cleared.
Yeah. So I did see the Jared Kite car drive off with what looked like a bit of a interestingly directionally pointing front wheel. So I'm not sure if he's stopped somewhere out on the circuit. That's the only thought of why we might be on the safety car, or possibly a bit of debris down there at the last corner.
Probably precautionary just to make sure the track's clear, because visibility, of course, is not what it was during the daylight hours. Back to Shannon's pit lane, Greg Russell.
Always interesting to note kind of body language at this time. Blake Dowdle is pacing. There are moments where he can't look at the monitor. There are moments where he's out watching what's going on the track, and that is because Cooper Cutts has just chipped away and made a little bit of ground here. Best of the Mustang runners at the moment, just outside the top 5.
It's a very good point, Rusty. They've had a best of 6 position so far this season, so they're on the verge of equaling that. Totem on the left of your screen, you'll see some of the movers and shakers in this one. So Murray, who's been as high as 3rd in this race, up 11 spots already. Chris Lillis up 11 spots and still the AM class leader. But then there's some big red numbers there as well, and probably the biggest one, 16 positions down for Summer Rintoul. Having said that, recovered to 18th position, was outside the top 20 on the last restart. This will give her another opportunity to pass a few more cars.
I imagine this will be a very long safety car, as I think the track is recovered, or any of the cars that were involved or may have been involved.
The Raptor Ranger recovery vehicle is on the back straight, so just doing a sweep. So I'd imagine one more lap after this one. We'll go back to racing. Still 8 minutes on the clock, so we'll still get some green flag running at the end of this. And Chris White just has to deal with another restart.
He's done a great job so far. Both of his restarts have been in those changeable conditions. So arguably, you would say this is the easiest of them all, but these dry conditions are where that Audi of Job Stewart has been absolutely rapid, not only here at Queensland Raceway, but last round at Tailem Bend. So possibly look for a bit of pace out of them.
Just had a report from Shannons pit lane from resident expert meteorologist Rusty, who suggests there's no more rain coming.
He wears a lot of caps, doesn't he?
He's good at them all as well.
That's great news.
I just hope he had the Brisbane weather radar up and not the one from Hawke's Bay in New Zealand. So at least one more lap under safety car. Toyota, Audi. Remember back to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Daniel Frugas was a winner there in the Toyota Supra, so he's already won once this year. Had a win last year as well. Celebrated his 21st birthday yesterday. So this could be a very, very big day for he and for Chris White. And Chris, who's a champion of New Zealand, won mate Toyota Racing and got this opportunity to come and do some rounds in the Supra thanks to Toyota Gazoo Racing New Zealand. And the chief, Nico Kayol, is here this weekend watching on, looking after some of the spare parts and customer support for the Supra customers in GT4. It was a cool opportunity he got for winning the GR86 championship over there in New Zealand, and he's delivered so far. Really impressive drive in the race lead. He's got to survive another restart though.
It's not going to be easy, but yeah, if he can execute what he has done on the first two, he'll hopefully, for him, drive up into the distance. But the 25 other cars behind him will be trying to overtake him. So it's going to be interesting. We expect the safety car lights to go out this lap, which has been confirmed. And they will go back to racing with 5.5 minutes on the clock, probably by the time they cross the start-finish line. So 4 or 5 laps of racing here at Queensland Raceway, and yeah, anything can happen in that time, can't it?
I think we could guarantee, based on prior experience, it's going to be pretty hectic. Look how hard Chris White was working on the brakes to try and get some brake temperature there. The rotor's glowing under safety car, so that acceleration and deceleration rapidly to generate brake temp, which then bleeds out into the tyre, so your front tyres get switched on a little bit earlier. Impressive to see them glowing under safety car.
Great shots from our drone as well there, following the cars through turn 5 up to the final corner. So the safety car, the BMW M safety cars, just entered the lane, so we're probably not far away from a green flag for Chris White. He can't go before he sees one, and then it's up to him to determine when he wants to put the hammer down. As we come through the final corner, and now he goes to full throttle, pedal to the metal, exit the final corner for another restart here in Monochrome GT4 Australia. Chris White leads us away from Job Stewart down into turn number 1.
Jet Murray, Jay Murray in there as well, and then 4 Mustangs, line astern, Cuts, Dalton, Wallace and Harvey in 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, and then Chris Lewis up to 10th place now in the AM class leading Porsche. The West Aussie has had a super evening at Queensland Raceway. There are under 5 minutes to go. It was up here where there was a little heart-in-mouth moment for Chris White in the last restart when he sent the Supra really deep and just kept it on the racing surface. He's done a better job this time round. And fires car number 9 out of turn 3 and back towards the infield to one of only 2 left-hand corners here at Queensland Raceway.
He's done a great job again on the restart, pulled a nice 5-10 car length gap on the Audi behind, and Shearer is all over the back of Job Stewart for second position. We've seen already how fast the Porsche is in a straight line here at Queensland Raceway, so it'll be interesting with just 4 minutes to go to see if he can make a move for second place.
So Chris Lewis is leading the AM class in 11th outright, which is in front of our silver AM leader of Quinn.
And Tony Quinn's leading silver AM too, by the way. Let's not let that get in the way, because that's a mighty drive from car 101 with Matt McCutcheon, who started that car. What about this performance from Jensen Shearer? Had a podium finish at Phillip Island in race 2, looking to add another one to his roster.
He's under a lot of pressure though here from Jet Murray. Great run off turn 2, but like Oscar said, that Porsche really just stretches his legs down the back straight. He has to cover though, or cover slightly into turn 3. Jet Murray has plenty of confidence on the brakes there in that McLaren. Just a little bit further back is that the first of the Fords. Would you believe the first one is Lockie Dalton, after being down in 15th position in qualifying,
He's the lead forward after 55 minutes of racing here tonight.
It's amazing how much can change in 12 months of motor racing, isn't it? Because 12 months ago when that team debuted, the Peters Motorsports squad, it ended up parked against the concrete barriers. The start-finish straight the Saturday race and basically wrote the car off. It was a huge job to get it patched up. The multi-spares team, Sorensen off. Sorensen off. Big moment, and around goes Murphy as well. One of the father and son combinations in Monochrome GT4 Australia. So that's on the infield section on the run into turn 4. 2.5 minutes to go.
So there's, a couple of cars. Yeah, it looks like they're all, well, 2 of them are getting going.
Side Pearson.
That's the number 6 Porsche.
So Side was off earlier, brought out that safety car.
58 Mercedes.
Jerry Murphy still parked there and struggling to get that car fixed. He's pointing in the wrong direction, so he's pointing into traffic. They're just going to see some headlights there. Speaking of headlights, there were some lights flashing. There's been a big move up the inside, a big slide.
Looks like he went actually off on the dirt on the outside on the way in, lost it, has come back across the track and collected a couple of cars in the process. So we've got cars going every which way. That's one of the McLarens. That's Sorensen's car. Is it?
Yep, that's Sorensen. And Murphy, he's just got to wait for the traffic now. So he's done a good job to get that car a little bit closer to the road. He's now just got to sit here and give way. There's 25 remaining GT4 cars on the circuit that he needs to let go by, and they're still streaming past. So race control's kept this green for the time being. There's only 90 seconds left on the clock. Leaders across the line. Chris White by 1.4 seconds. Stewart next, and Jensen Shearer still holding on to 3rd place. Jet Murray still attacking, and Jerry's got that car turned around and recovered. So good heads-up race officiating there as well to keep that green. Meanwhile, saw the Mustang Cup earlier today at the Shannons Speed Series and the LIQUI MOLY GT Festival. This is Mustang GT4 Cup.
So it's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th, all forwards.
5 of them. Dalton, Wallace, Cuts, Harvey, and Tracy now has worked his way back into the top 10.
Well, it's interesting.
So that Mercedes actually is still down there at turn 4.
No, Murphy got going again. It's another car that has been spun off. Try and get what number it is, but it's a lot further off on the infield there on driver's right.
So they've just covered it under local yellows, which is smart. We've got 30 seconds left remaining in this one. And White still doing the business out in front. It's less than a second, though, to Job Stewart. Shearer still hanging on in front of Jet Murray.
Maybe that is the Murphy car.
I think it still is. I don't think he got fully recovered there, so I'm not sure whether he's beached it down there, but...
Regardless, this is the battle for 5th and 6th position, so Lockie Dalton, brake rotors glowing. Yeah, so Murphy got that car turned around, but it's ended up a little bit further round on the road from where it ended up stopping.
Well, I do like what race control have done here. They've put out a double wave yellow there on the entry to turn 4 and let this race continue to the end, because if a safety car did come out, we probably wouldn't have got a green flag into this race. But the battle seems to continue here for 3rd and 4th, not so much for the 2 lead positions, as Chris White has just put on another masterclass on this restart. But this battle between Jet Murray and Jensen Shearer continues once again. You see the Porsche pull away in a straight line. You see the braking performance of that McLaren really close up, and this McLaren, I believe, with Tom Heyman earlier when it started to rain, was flying off through the gravel trap in turn 1, and we thought he was nearly out of the race, and here he is back fighting for podium contention. So you can never rule anyone out here in Monochrome GT4 Australia.
Yeah, if we've learned anything about this category, it is to just stick around, because other things will happen as the race goes on. This one not far away from ending. The battle's still on a little bit further back. Jay Murray under pressure from Lockie Dalton. And what a comeback it's been from the multi-spares car. Started 15th in this race, and they have charged their way forward. Good pit stop early. They got ground there. They've managed the safety cars really well. The experience of Dalton has seen them well in this sort of inter-blue oval battle for top Mustang home in this one. It's going to be in the back half of the top 5. Maybe they can get to 5th place. Should be the start of the final lap. Leaders through. Chris White, the margin has come down. It's 0.6 of a second, so Job Stewart has responded in the closing stages. Here are the leaders. There's the Audi R8. Shearer and Murray. Jensen puts the car on the inside white line. On the back straight in the long run down towards turn 3.
Now there's one less opportunity for an overtake because we've got that double wave yellow down at turn 4. So it's not going to be here. It's only going to be turn 6. That's the last opportunity for Murray to have a crack at Shearer.
So that's for the final step on the podium. The 5th race of a compelling Monochrome GT4 Australia season. There are the 2 leaders. Every challenge that Chris White has had thrown at him this evening at Queensland Raceway, he has been up to the task to manage. Several race restarts, got himself to the race lead. And after a good start and a flying start from Daniel Frugas, this one will go to the line for 3rd. Chris White and Daniel Frugas for GWR and Toyota Supra win under the lights of Queensland Raceway.
What a fantastic drive for both those boys. No mistakes, perfect restarts, got the job done, maximum points here tonight. Saturday night here at Queensland Raceway. Joe Stewart in 2nd position, Shearer rounding out the podium, did a great job holding off Jet Murray, all that pressure that he didn't succumb to. Lockie Dalton in the top 5, so that's a great recovery, like you touched on, Crailsey, from multi-spares Ford Mustang between Dalton and Aaron Cameron after starting down at 15th. Jay Murray also, those 2 cars, 5th and 6th, started 15th and 16th.
Yeah, they did, so both of them gained about 10 spots each in that race. Charged their way to the front in unison. Confirmation of results for you. Nathan Callahan and Chris Lillis win the AM class 11th outright. They gained a huge amount of ground in that. And Silver Am went the way in the end. Andrew Tordy charged his way back up the order late in that one to get to 12th place.
Chris Lillis beat the Silver Am car and finished 11th outright, claiming the AM race win. So great job from Chris Lillis in that Porsche. And wow, a lot to unpack in that one. We had mixed conditions, safety car right at the pit window, cars going off left, right and centre. It was a race full of attrition. And this was the car that came out on top. The Garth Walden Racing prepared, number 9, Toyota Supra. Cracking job from those guys, that whole team. It's such a professional outfit. They do such a great job. They're in so many classes. I think you touched on how many trucks they've got here this weekend.
Yeah, yep, four transporters to move all the cars around, 3 different categories. About 20 guys and girls down at GWR working on all these cars. So it'd be nice to deliver some success. They got a podium in First Focus Radical Cup earlier today. And that is a really good job. The start from Frugas was outstanding. He charged his way around the outside in a flying launch in that Supra, and then when Chris White got behind the wheel, he was able to fend off the challenges and a bunch of restarts and the weather and everything else that unfolded in yet another Monochrome GT4 Australia thriller. There is the team boss. He'll go and congratulate the young Kiwi Charge, who's been parachuted into this team for a couple of rounds this year. And he has delivered.
Yeah, loves a winner.
Yeah, he does.
Pretty stoked there, absolutely. I've heard him say that a few times. Yeah. So great job from him and from Frugas. Frugas really put them in that position, but it was what happened in the pit stop. They jumped the Audi. Yep. So I'd love to work out what happened there, because both those cars didn't have any compensation times, but Frugas got the job done, and so did White. Rusty.
In the midst of it all, Garth Walden's just jumped out of the way of our camera. Hey, nice first stint from you, Daniel. That's got to feel pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. They got a bit slippery with all the rain falling and kept on the track. But yeah, car felt mega as the sun set, just got quicker and quicker, believe it or not. So yeah, and then Chris did a fantastic job. I think he got all the short straws and 3 restarts. So yeah. Awesome, yeah.
Well done. Let's go to you, mate. I mean, you survived every conceivable kind of test, and that's a sweet one, hey? Against this competition, this big field of GT4 cars in your young career so far, what's that one mean?
This one's definitely pretty special. Like, I mean, as we all know, the Bend was a pretty tough weekend, so to come back and get the win and the outright win as well, it's pretty surreal. Like, GWR, fantastic job on the radio with all 3 of those restarts, telling me what I got to do, all the processes, because I was asking a few questions, I'll be honest, but it was awesome. Dan did a fantastic job as well. You know, he gave me the car in one piece, which is always a good thing, so I just got to make sure I do the same thing for him tomorrow, and hopefully we can repeat what we've achieved.
Well done. One little heart stopper off a restart, but the rest of it was sublime. Congratulations, boys.
Thanks, Rusty.
Righto, let's move on down here to Lockie Evanet and Andrew Torty, I think, at the end here. So we're talking Silver Ram here now. They're pretty damn happy about it too. Hey, well done.
Thank you very much. yeah, I don't even know what to say after that. We were in last at one point after the pit stops, and we're like, oh no, we turned away, and then yeah, come back and we're right up and on the podium. So I don't even know what to say. I'm lost for words, but yeah, I can't thank everyone enough. We've worked yeah, really hard this weekend, and we had a tough tail in Bend, but we've come back strong here. So yeah, I couldn't be happier. Andrew drove amazing. Thanks, he did great. He's got some confidence up, so we'll see what we can do tomorrow.
I mean, he's just led me there. Well done. I mean, to survive all that, to recover from them, that must feel good.
Mate, I'm in a good team, and I've got a great teammate. That's where the package is. It's not me, it's everyone else.
You're a part of it. Well done. Congratulations, boys. Great job. And we'll go to Am, and we've seen these guys, of course, Chris Lillis and Nathan Callahan a couple of times in this space, in this place, under lights at night, Queensland Raceway. What's that one feel like?
It's really, really good, really good. We struggled in practice, had a problem with the car, but we worked on it, and now it's a complete jet. And yeah, really happy to come from 21st up to 10th. It was a great finish.
Does it feel like in those sorts of conditions, you know, night like this, is it a good package around here like that?
100% Rusty, and yeah, to be honest, we just want to do a big shout out to my mother-in-law Marie at home. My wife flew home early to see her yesterday, and yeah, we did this one for her today. We promised we'd win it. We didn't know how we were going to do, but we did it in the end. So yeah, thank you.
Lovely sentiments. Go and enjoy some champagne too. Well done.
Thanks, Rusty. Cheers.
They're great guys, those two, and very passionate about their motorsport, the Jack Motorsport guys, Cachet Holmes, and what a performance they've had in Monochrome GT4 Australia today. The highlights of race number 1 here at Queensland Raceway for Monochrome GT4. What a roller coaster this was. And a key move early around the outside was that Toyota Supra of Daniel Frugus, who made a flying start. Thomas Randall, this was a busy race start.
It was. They all made it through, though, safely, turn 1 and 2, as Blake Purdy had a great run at the start. That was Jared Hughes going wide there, as was Patterson. Well, Patterson got a great launch from 5th up to 2nd, so they looked really racy early on, as everyone just vying for position, trying to get through turn 5 single file. And then Hughes got that move finally done on Patterson. He was sort of held up there for a bit, but finally got that job done.
Yeah, meanwhile, charging through, this was Tommy Heyman at the start of the race, who was making some moves. The McLarens did look pretty strong the whole way through. And the rain showers were intermittent throughout this. It would rain heavily and then it would stop, and then it would rain lightly and then it would come back. This was enormous. And on his birthday, Sam Paley got away with one there after contact from behind. We thought this might be day over for Tom Heyman with a big moment at turn 1. Backed the McLaren in, drove it right out to the fence on the outside, but somehow got away with it.
Yeah, he just got the white line on the way into turn 1 with that left rear. Wet painted white line, great save. And to think that car ended up finishing in 4th position after all of that, you just wouldn't think it. And there was the number 6 Porsche. Unfortunately, the Pearson Porsche that fired it off into the final corner. That brought out our first of a couple of BMW M safety cars, and that fell at a really awkward moment because the pit window was just about to open, so the whole field fired in, and as you said, this is the quietest you've ever seen a race meeting for about 30 seconds.
Well, we had almost every car in pit lane at the same time with their engines turned off as per the regulations. The race restarted, and we went back to green, and the rain for a moment was hard. Jake Camilleri was caught out by that in the Mobil 1 car ran wide at turn number 1. While they all battled, and up in front, it was Green who got behind the wheel of the Porsche, who was really struggling. Summer Rintoul, tough day after starting on the front row of the grid with Jared Hughes, ended up a long way down the order after that off. Meanwhile, in his debut in the category, Green was in the mix in that Porsche. The battles were going on. Andrew Torty there with contact with Nathan Murray. They were side by side at 6. And yep, that would bring out the safety car again.
Yeah, I'll just go back to the pit stops, and that was where the number 9 Supra got the jump on the 48 Audi, and this was what brought out our final BMW M safety car period towards the end. The Dexy and McLaren going around, and then there was a big kerfuffle down at turn 4. Somehow everyone bar one, that Mercedes, got going again. They ended up just leaving that as a local yellow, but no one could stop the number 9 of White crossing the line in the lead and winning the race.
LIQUI MOLY, who's going to deliver.
And the celebrations begin on the Monochrome GT4 Australia podium. 3 classes will get their trophies at the end of that one, and I think Oscar Target, they've earned their champagne after that.
I think all of them have in that race. You know, with those mixed conditions, even staying on the track was a challenge, and we saw there the crew in the Supra got the strategy right and managed to bring home the victory. So they'll be very happy with that, and for Chris making the step up from Toyota 86s in New Zealand into GT4, that's a big step up for him, and to, you know, win in one of his first events is very impressive.
Yeah, Jensen Shearer, just a shout out there as well. That was a huge performance from the Porsche driver to get himself a second podium of the season. And yep, another win for Daniel Frugas and the first in Monochrome GT4 for Chris White, who said earlier he felt like he needed to, redemption wasn't the right word, but just wanted to perform as well as he could this weekend, and he certainly did that. So it was a very competitive silver class. They filled the top 10 positions outright in that race. And by the way, how was the GT4 version of the Mustang Cup?
We've had another crash.
Oh, no. The podiums have been hard today on the gear. The Ford Mustang GT4 Cup was frenetic, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, traditionally so far this year, the Mustang GT4 Cup has been for the lead of the race, and you know, with a bit of a BOP change this weekend, it certainly wasn't. You know, seeing some other manufacturers up there, and you know, 3 different manufacturers on the podium, 4, 5, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6. So anyone that complains about BOP racing, here we are.
It's pretty impressive, and the diversity in this field is equally impressive. It's the 4th win for a Toyota Supra outright as well, and in the silver class in GT4 Australia. Looks like Belinda Narby from LIQUI MOLY presenting the trophies. Good recovery for Glenn Nerwin and Zach Suter. They sort of flew under the radar on that one in the tough lift car.
Don't need to use the stairs.
No, who needs stairs? This is Silver Am. Oh, that was Tony Quinn.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It's his place. He can do what he likes. That was a strong drive. They led the class up until that final restart when they were jumped by Andrew Torty and Lockie Evenet. But Evenet early in that race was super strong and running inside the top 6 and 7.
Yeah, Evenet was fast from the start, and he passed the car over to Andrew there, and he had a bit of a kerfuffle down at turn 6 with Nathan Murray, but they've managed to come home with the victory, and very cool personally to see Andrew on the podium, someone that's been a supporter of mine for quite a while, and someone I've known since I was quite young, so awesome to see him up there with a trophy.
You've used the term kerfuffle a couple of times relating to this race. It was, there were moments. Turn 6 was the action zone, this one, wasn't it?
Yeah, everyone was keen for a lunge, and the one that I feel like hasn't been looked at enough is that move from Jared Hughes at turn 4. You couldn't really see it from the TV cameras, but outside of our commentary box here, he must have been 10 plus car lengths back when he made that lunge. So it really shows the difference of these cars, the McLaren versus the Porsche.
So confirming the Silver Am Cup top 3 results at the end, and a Toyota Supra win that class as well. So it's been a very, very good day at the office if you're a fan of Toyota. They'll go off and try and win the Le Mans 24 Hour starting tonight. So nice start to their day, potentially, in Monochrome GT4 Australia. The AM class podium, Peter Lawrence, he's having a really strong season in the Randall Racing BMW squad. He was 3rd. Rob and Bailey Love. So we talked about the father and son combinations. There's another one in GT4 Australia. I'm not sure we saw them much of that race at all. They just were the quiet achievers and ended up finishing in 3rd place on the podium. And then another win this season for Chris Lillis and Nathan Callahan. They are building a really, really impressive year. They were 2nd in the championship coming into the weekend, chasing down Glenn Walker. That is going to close things right up. In fact, it will put them to the lead in the AM class. So the West Aussie boys have done an outstanding job in the AM class in GT4 Australia.
And in the silver class, the top 3 cars in the championship are separated by 1 point. The top 4 separated by 6 points. So I don't think you can get much closer than that, Crailsy.
Game on into tomorrow, where there is another 1 hour race coming your way, and final confirmation of the AM Cup winners. Porsche on top in that class.
Well, fantastic stuff. It's certainly delivered, Monochrome GT4 Australia. We knew racing under lights was going to be special, but we added a little bit of water just to spice it up, and that was fantastic. So congratulations to all. A memorable day. History was made here today at Queensland Raceway, Charlie.
It certainly was. Renee Gracie taking her maiden win and the first woman ever to win the GT World Challenge Australia outright alongside Will Davison. You could see how much it meant to them. They've worked exceptionally hard, but hey, we're going again tomorrow.
That's it, and GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, will kick us off. We'll be on air from 10 a.m. tomorrow, so certainly looking forward to that. Prior to that, there'll be Mustang Cup qualifying, their second qualifying session of the weekend before they go racing from 12 p.m. GT4, yes, the Monochrome GT4 cars will be back for another big race in the afternoon, and when we wrap it all up with the first Focus Radical Cup Australia. And we look forward to seeing you then. It's been a bumper day here at Queensland Raceway, generally under pretty clear skies, and great to have a full house on site. But if you can't be here in person, make sure you join us from 10 a.m. tomorrow Australian Eastern Standard Time for the LIQUI MOLY GT Festival Queensland. We'll see you then. Bye for now.